Hello, good day. How are you today? You are good, right? Okay. Are you ready for today's lesson? You are? That is good. Today in mathematics, we are going to be looking at mensuration. Okay? Our topic for today in mathematics, it's on mensuration. So are we ready for the lesson? We are with our books and our pencils or pens to get into today's lesson, right? Okay, that is good. Mensuration involves identification of shapes and the calculation of surface area and volume for solid figures. Okay, mensuration involves measurement of shapes, focusing on calculating their surface areas and volumes. We are going to be looking at how to calculate the volume, which is the amount of space occupied by these shapes, and the total area of their surfaces. Okay, so the solid figures we are going to be looking at: cube, cuboid, cylinder, and cone. Okay, what do we mean by these solid figures? Solid figure is a shape whose sectional body cannot be wholly shown on a plane or flat surface. Okay, and there are many, but today's lesson we're going to be looking at cube, cuboid, cylinder, and cone, how to calculate their surface area and volume. Okay, so are we ready for the lesson? So first we're going to be looking at the cube. Most of us have seen a cube, right? A cube has 6 faces of equal dimension. This means that it has length, breadth or width, and height, all of which are equal to each other. Okay, so this is a cube and it has 6 faces: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you look at a cube, it has 6 faces. Okay, so the formula to calculate the surface area of a cube is 6 times area of one face squares. Okay, so it can be simplified as 6x raised to the power 2 square units. The x represents the area of the cube. Okay, do you understand? And the square unit means that the metric unit used in calculating the square should be in square. Okay, you are going to understand better when we look at some examples. Then the volume of a cube: to get the volume of a cube, the formula is base times height, which can be simplified as x raised to the power 3. Okay, cube units. This means that whatever metric unit used in the measurement has to be in cube. Okay, if it's centimeter, it has to be in centimeter cube. So we're going to be looking at some examples to help us understand better. So here we have a cube has length of 5 centimeter. Calculate the surface area and volume. You remember the formula for calculating the surface area of a cube, right? We're going to be using this simplified one. So we have here 6x squared. Remember, x represents the length, okay, breadth, width of the cube. So we're going to input our numbers into this formula. So we have 6 times 5 raised to the power 2. You know where this 5 came from? It's from the length, right? The question says a cube has the length of 5 centimeter. So we impute 5 raised to the power 2. 5 raised to the power 2 is 5 times 5, right? 5 times 5 is 25. So we have 6 times 25. 6 times 25 is going to give you what? When you calculate it, it's going to give you 150 centimeter square. Remember what we said about square units, right? This is what we mean. When calculating the surface area, you must always know that your centimeter is raised to the power 2, which is centimeter square. Okay, this is how it is. So the surface area of a cube that its length is 5 centimeter, The surface area is 150 centimeters square. Now to calculate the volume, we impute our formula. The volume of a cube formula is x raised to power 3. Remember what this x represents? So we impute our number into the formula. 5 raised to power 3 means 5 times 5 times 5, not 5 times 3, okay? So 5 times 5 times 5 is going to give us 125. So our answer is 125 centimeter cube. Remember the cube units. This is what it means, okay? So I've gotten the surface area of the cube and the volume of the cube, right? The surface area is 115 centimeters square and the volume is 125 centimeter cube. Do you understand? It's easy, right? It's just for you to know the formula, then it's easy to solve. We're going to be looking at another example. Consider a cube with a side length of 3 centimeters. Calculate the surface area and volume. We remember the formula for calculating the surface area of a cube, right? 6x squared, which is 6 times 3 raised to power 2. Do you understand? So this is 3 times 3, not 3 times 2, okay? 3 times 3 is going to give us 9. So we have 6 times 9. And 6 times 9 is going to give us 54. So we have 54 centimeters squared. The surface area of the cube that the side length is 3 centimeters, the surface area is 54 centimeters squared. Okay? Then we look at the volume. We have to also calculate the volume. The volume of a cube is x raised to power 3. And x here is 3, right? So 3 raised to power 3. 3 times 3 times 3, not 3 times 3, okay? 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 times 3 is going to give you what? 27. Okay? 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Do you understand? So the volume of a cube is 27 centimeter cube. Okay? So we now know how to calculate the surface area of a cube and the volume of a cube, right? It's easy. It's just for you to know the formulas, okay? So now we are going to be looking at the cuboid. The cuboid is like the rectangular shape of a cube, okay? A cuboid is a solid with rectangular base and sides. It has 6 rectangular faces. Its all sides are closed. So this is a cuboid. We have the height, width, and length. This can also be seen as the breadth, okay? It's the same thing. So the height, the width, and the length. To calculate the surface area of a cuboid is 6 rectangles. And it can be written as 2xy plus 2xz plus 2yz. You can use any letters you want to represent here, okay? But the formula remains the same. So you have x is the width, so the width times y, which is the length, okay? Plus the width times the height plus the length times the height, okay? So you can put any letters you want. Do you understand? This can be simplified into 2 brackets xy plus xz plus yz. Bracket close. Don't be confused. This is still the same as this, okay? Do you understand? So it's the width times the length plus the width times the height plus the length times the height. That is how you get the surface area of a cuboid, okay? And the formula to get the volume of the cuboid is base times height. Here is the base of a cuboid, and here is also the base of a cuboid, okay? The length is the base of a cuboid, the width is the base of a cuboid, and here is the height. Okay, do you understand? So to calculate the volume of the keyboard is base times height. So we have two base, the width and the length. So it's x times y times the height, which is z. Okay, remember I said you can use any letter. You can put A here, B, C, whatever letter that is your choice. Okay, it's still the same thing, but just know that when calculating the volume, is the width times the length times the height. Okay, that is the base times the height. Do you understand? You are not confused, right? To calculate the surface area of a cubed is the width times the length plus the width times the height plus the length times the height. And to calculate the volume of a cubed is the base times the height, right? The width times the length times the height. Okay? So we're going to be looking at some examples to help us understand how to use these formulas. Number one, we have a cube has a length of 13 centimeter, width 9 centimeter, and height 8 centimeter. Calculate the surface area and the volume. So the length of a cubed has 13 centimeter and the height as 8 centimeter, then the width 9 centimeter. We have to calculate the surface area and the volume. Okay, remember the formula for the surface area of a cubed: 2 bracket xy plus xz plus yz bracket close. What does this represent? Do you remember? The width times the length plus the width times the height plus the length times the height, right? Remember, I said you can use any letter you want to represent this. So now we're going to be imputing our numbers into the formula, okay? So we have to x, which is the width. The width here is 9, so you put 9 times y, the length is 13. You write down 13 bracket close plus x again. The x here is the width, right? 9, you put down 9 plus z is the height. The height here is 8. You put down 8 bracket close. Write down your plus again. Then the next one, y, the length is 13. You put down 13 times the height, which is 8. You write down 8. Now we're going to simplify this more, okay? So 2 bracket 9 times 13 is going to give us what? 117 plus 9 times 8 is going to give us what? 72, right? You got that. Then we take the next one. 13 times 8 is going to give us 104. So you add everything in the bracket first, okay? So 117 plus 72 plus 104 is going to give you what? When you add all these together, what is going to be your answer? 293, right? You got that. So now we open the bracket. 2 times 293 is going to give you what? When you multiply 2 times 293, is going to give you 586 centimeters square. Remember, the surface area is always in centimeters square, okay? Do you understand? So a cubed that has the length of 13 centimeter, the width of 9 centimeter, and the height of 8 centimeter, the surface area is 586 centimeters square. Okay, good. Now to calculate the volume, remember, is the width times the length times the height, the base times the height, right? The width is the length, the base, sorry, the length is also the base, and then the height. So width times the length times the height, which is xyz. So we impute our numbers into the volume formula. X, which is the width, is 9 centimeter. You put down 9 times. Y, which is the length, is 13. You write down 13 times. Z, which is the height, is 8. You write down 8. So 9 times 13 times 8 is going to give us what? When you multiply all this together, 9 times 13 times 8, you are going to have 936 centimeter cube, okay? Remember, the volume is always in cube. So we have 936 centimeter cube as the volume. Do you understand? So the surface area is 586 centimeter square and the volume is 936 centimeter cube. Do you understand that?